Before we begin this morning prayer, I want to ask you something uncomfortable. What have you been preparing for that you still haven't started? Think carefully. Not what you've been dreaming about, not what you've been researching, not what you've been discussing. What have you actually started? Because there comes a point where preparation stops being wisdom and starts becoming avoidance. There comes a point where planning becomes a hiding place. A point where waiting for clarity becomes an excuse for remaining still. A point where the search for certainty quietly becomes fear wearing a respectable disguise. Many people spend years preparing for a life they never begin. Years gathering information. Years seeking signs. Years waiting for confidence. Years waiting for perfect timing. Years waiting for guarantees. And while they wait, something important slips away. Momentum. Growth, experience, transformation. Because there are some lessons that cannot be learned through preparation. They can only be learned through participation. Some truths reveal themselves only after the first step, not before it. And this morning, we're going to explore why the first time matters far more than most people realize. Because your future may not be waiting for another sign. It may be waiting for your first move. One of the most convincing lies people tell themselves is this: I'll start when the timing is right. It sounds responsible. It sounds wise. It sounds practical. But often it becomes a prison. Because what exactly is perfect timing? A future with no uncertainty. A future with no risk. A future with no possibility of failure. A future where every outcome is guaranteed. That future does not exist. Life has never operated that way. The people we admire most rarely acted with complete certainty. They acted with incomplete information. They moved despite unanswered questions. They stepped forward despite imperfect conditions. They trusted enough to begin. And that's important because waiting for perfect timing often creates an endless cycle. You need more information, then more confirmation, then more reassurance, then another sign, then another guarantee, then another reason, and suddenly years have passed. Not because opportunity was absent, but because action never arrived. There is wisdom in preparation, but there is also wisdom in beginning, and many people have mastered the first while neglecting the second. The first step carries a unique weight, not because it is always the hardest physically, but because it breaks uncertainty. Before the first step, everything exists in imagination. The dream remains safe. The idea remains untouched. The vision remains protected from reality. But once action begins, everything changes. Now there is exposure. Now there is vulnerability. Now there is the possibility of mistakes. Now there is the possibility of disappointment. And that frightens many people, because as long as something remains unstarted, it can remain perfect in their mind. Reality introduces imperfection. Reality introduces challenges. Reality introduces learning. Yet reality also introduces growth, and growth is impossible without engagement. The first step is difficult because it requires surrendering the comfort of potential and entering the uncertainty of experience. But experience is where transformation lives, not in planning, not in imagining, not in wishing, in doing. Most people assume they fear failure, but often they fear something deeper. They fear what failure might mean about them. What if I try and it doesn't work? What if people judge me? What if I look foolish? What if I'm not as capable as I thought? Notice what's happening. The concern isn't merely the outcome, it's identity. People begin attaching their worth to their performance, their value to their results, their dignity to their success. And because the stakes feel so high, they choose inaction. But inaction carries its own cost. The pain of never knowing. The pain of unrealized potential. The pain of wondering what could have happened. The pain of carrying a dream that never leaves the ground. Failure may bruise confidence temporarily, but avoidance slowly erodes confidence over time, because every avoided opportunity sends a message. A message that says, I don't trust myself enough to begin, and eventually that message becomes a belief. One of the greatest misconceptions in personal growth is the belief that clarity comes before action. In reality, action often creates clarity. Think about a long road covered by morning fog. You cannot see the entire path. You see only the next few steps. Then you move, and more becomes visible. Then you move again, and more appears. Life often works the same way. We want complete visibility, but growth rarely offers complete visibility. It offers enough visibility for the next step. The person who waits for total certainty remains standing. The person who moves gains information, experience, feedback, direction, wisdom, and slowly the path becomes clearer. Not because they waited, because they walked. Many prayers are answered not through more information, but through movement, because movement creates perspective that stillness never can. Imagine meeting the version of yourself 5 years from now. The wiser version, the stronger version, the more confident version, the more spiritually mature version. What would that person tell you? Would they tell you to wait longer? Would they tell you to spend another year doubting yourself? Would they tell you to continue delaying what your heart already knows? Or would they tell you to begin, not recklessly, not impulsively, but courageously? Because every future version of yourself is built by actions taken today. The confidence you want is built through action. The wisdom you want is built through experience. The resilience you want is built through challenge. The growth you want is built through movement. And none of those things arrive before the first step. They arrive because of it. Most people think hesitation is temporary, something they will overcome eventually, something that exists only until they feel ready. But hesitation has a dangerous quality. It grows. The longer it remains unchallenged, the stronger it becomes. A delayed decision becomes another delayed decision. A postponed opportunity becomes another postponed opportunity. An avoided step becomes another avoided step. And before long, hesitation is no longer something you do. It becomes part of how you live. You begin approaching every possibility through the lens of caution, every opportunity through the lens of doubt, every dream through the lens of risk. You become skilled at finding reasons not to move. You become skilled at identifying obstacles. You become skilled at explaining why now isn't the right time. And eventually, what started as a moment of hesitation becomes an identity of hesitation. The tragedy is that many people mistake this for wisdom. But wisdom and avoidance are not the same thing. Wisdom evaluates risk. Avoidance magnifies risk. Wisdom considers reality. Avoidance imagines endless catastrophe. Wisdom prepares. Avoidance postpones. One creates movement, the other creates paralysis. And the longer paralysis remains, the more normal it begins to feel. Most people understand the practical cost of delay. Lost opportunities, missed experiences, unfulfilled goals. But fewer people recognize the spiritual cost. Because every time you ignore a meaningful prompting, something subtle happens. You teach yourself not to trust your own inner guidance. You teach yourself that action can always wait. You teach yourself that readiness must arrive before movement. And slowly, your confidence begins to weaken. Not because you lack ability, because you lack evidence. Confidence is built through evidence. Evidence is built through action. Action creates experience. Experience creates proof. Proof creates confidence. But if action never happens, confidence remains theoretical. Many people are waiting to feel confident before they begin. Yet confidence rarely arrives first. Confidence usually arrives after repeated acts of courage. There is something deeply spiritual about small beginnings, because small beginnings require humility. Everyone wants significant results. Everyone wants meaningful transformation. Everyone wants visible progress. But very few people enjoy starting small. The first page, the first conversation, the first attempt, the first prayer, the first application. Yet every meaningful journey begins there. Not with mastery, not with certainty, not with perfection, with beginnings. And beginnings are sacred because beginnings represent faith. They represent willingness. They represent trust. They represent openness to growth. When you take a small step, you are doing more than creating movement. You are reshaping identity. You are proving to yourself that you can act despite uncertainty. You are proving to yourself that growth is possible. And these proofs accumulate. They become part of your story. Many people think courageous individuals feel less fear. But courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is movement despite fear. Think about that. The person taking the first step often feels afraid. The person starting something new often feels uncertain. The person walking into unfamiliar territory often feels vulnerable. Yet they move anyway, and that is what makes the action courageous. If fear disappeared completely, courage would not be necessary. What makes courage meaningful is that it exists alongside uncertainty, vulnerability, and questions. This is why waiting to feel fearless can become another trap. Because fearlessness may never arrive, but courage can. Today, one of the most overlooked truths about faith is this: faith moves. Faith is not merely agreement. Faith is participation. Faith is engagement. Faith is stepping. Many people think faith means waiting, but often faith means walking. Walking before every answer appears. Walking before every concern disappears. Walking because trust has become stronger than hesitation. This doesn't mean acting recklessly. It doesn't mean ignoring wisdom. It means refusing to allow fear to become your permanent advisor. Because eventually there comes a moment when information has done all it can do. Preparation has done all it can do. Planning has done all it can do, and only action remains. The next chapter of your life cannot be entered through thought alone. At some point, the door must be opened. There is a reason the first time matters so much. The first time breaks the illusion. The illusion that you can't. The illusion that you're not ready. The first time changes the conversation. Before the first step, possibility feels distant. After the first step, possibility becomes real. Before the first attempt, growth is theoretical. After the first attempt, growth becomes tangible. Before the first action, confidence is missing. After the first action, evidence begins to appear. The first time may not create mastery, but it creates momentum, and momentum is powerful. One of the greatest misconceptions people have about the future is believing it arrives all at once. It doesn't. The future arrives disguised as ordinary decisions. The life you will experience 1 year from now is being shaped by choices that seem small today. The person you will become is being formed by actions that appear insignificant in the moment. A single conversation, a single act of courage, a single commitment, a single step, a single decision to stop delaying what matters. These things rarely feel dramatic, yet they carry enormous power. Many people imagine transformation as a sudden event, a breakthrough, a miracle, a moment. And while those moments certainly exist, most transformation is quieter. It is built through consistency, built through movement, built through repeated decisions that align with growth. Every meaningful future begins as a present-day choice, which means your future is not merely waiting for you. It is being constructed by you, right now, through what you choose to do with this day. And perhaps that realization feels heavy, but it is also empowering, because if today's choices shape tomorrow's reality, then today's action matters more than today's fear. Many people spend years standing in front of imaginary doors, dreaming, planning, preparing, analyzing, waiting, yet never approaching. What they don't realize is that some doors reveal themselves only through movement. Life is filled with opportunities that cannot be understood from a distance. They must be experienced. You cannot learn to swim by studying water forever. You cannot discover where a path leads by standing still. Movement reveals what observation cannot. Action reveals what preparation cannot. Experience reveals what imagination cannot. There comes a moment when overthinking becomes a form of resistance, not intentional resistance, fearful resistance. The mind convinces itself it needs one more answer, one more sign, one more guarantee. But sometimes the next answer is hidden inside the next step. Most people think only action carries risk, but waiting carries risk too. Waiting can cost opportunities. Waiting can cost growth. Waiting can cost confidence. Waiting can cost years. Every season contains opportunities designed for that season. And while life is incredibly forgiving, certain opportunities are connected to timing. This is not meant to create anxiety. It is meant to create awareness. Because delay often disguises itself as safety, yet excessive delay slowly becomes regret. The saddest conversations many people have are not about what they attempted. They are about what they never attempted. The business never started. The dream never pursued. The conversation never had. The gift never shared. The purpose never explored. Not because they lacked ability, not because they lacked potential, because they waited and waited until waiting became the story. Do not allow waiting to become your story. Let movement become your story. The moment you begin, something shifts. Not always around you, but within you. The first step creates evidence. Evidence that fear can be challenged. Evidence that uncertainty can be faced. Evidence that growth is possible. Evidence that movement is available. And evidence is powerful, because evidence weakens limiting beliefs. The mind says, "You can't." Action says, "I just did." The mind says, "You're not ready." Action says, "I started anyway." The mind says, "You'll fail." Action says, "At least I'm moving." Every courageous action becomes a vote for a new identity. An identity built on possibility instead of limitation. An identity built on trust instead of fear. An identity built on movement instead of delay. This is why beginnings matter so much. Not because they are perfect, because they are transformative. There is something sacred about the first time. The first prayer spoken from genuine surrender. The first step taken despite fear. The first decision made from faith instead of doubt. The first act of courage. The first moment of trust. The first movement toward purpose. Because beginnings represent willingness, and willingness changes everything. You do not need to know the entire journey. You only need enough courage for the next step. You do not need perfect confidence. You only need enough faith to begin. You do not need every answer. You only need enough trust to move forward. The first time matters because it marks the moment. You stop being a spectator in your own life and become a participant. The moment you stop watching possibilities and start living them. The moment you stop waiting for certainty and start walking with faith. Heavenly Father, thank you for this new morning. Thank you for the gift of another day. Thank you for the breath in my lungs, the strength in my body, and the opportunities that await me. As I begin this day, I bring before you every dream I have delayed, every opportunity I have hesitated to pursue, every step I have been afraid to take, every place where fear has been louder than faith. Lord, there are moments when I convince myself that I am waiting for wisdom, when in reality I'm waiting for certainty. Moments when I tell myself I am preparing, when in reality I am postponing. Moments when I seek another sign, another confirmation, another guarantee. But today I ask for something greater than certainty. I ask for courage. Give me courage to move when fear tells me to stay still. Give me courage to trust when answers are incomplete. Give me courage to begin even when the path ahead is not fully visible. Father, help me release the belief that I must have everything figured out before I take the first step. Help me remember that growth happens through movement, that wisdom grows through experience, that confidence develops through action, that faith becomes stronger when it is exercised. Lord, free me from the prison of endless waiting. Free me from perfectionism disguised as wisdom. Free me from overthinking disguised as preparation. Free me from fear disguised as caution. Help me recognize when delay is no longer protecting me and is instead preventing me from becoming who I am meant to be. Father, I surrender every dream that feels overwhelming, every goal that feels too large, every challenge that feels intimidating. Teach me to focus on the next step instead of the entire journey. Teach me to trust you one day at a time, one decision at a time, one step at a time. Lord, strengthen my spirit so that I do not become discouraged by small beginnings. Remind me that every great journey begins with a first step. Every achievement begins with a first attempt. Every transformation begins with a first choice. Every breakthrough begins with a first act of faith. Give me patience for the process. Give me humility to start where I am. Give me discipline to keep moving. Give me wisdom to recognize opportunities. Give me discernment to know when you are calling me forward. And when fear whispers that I am not ready, remind me that readiness often grows through obedience. When doubt whispers that I should wait longer, remind me that some lessons can only be learned by walking. When uncertainty tries to stop me, remind me that clarity often follows movement. Father, bless every person listening to this prayer. For the one delaying a dream, give them courage. For the one trapped in overthinking, give them clarity. For the one standing at the edge of a new season, give them faith. For the one afraid of failure, give them strength. For the one waiting for a sign, help them recognize that sometimes the sign is the opportunity already before them. May we become people who trust you enough to move, people who choose faith over hesitation, people who embrace growth instead of delay, people who step forward even when every answer has not yet arrived. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your presence in every beginning. And thank you for reminding us that the first step is never taken alone. In your holy name, Amen. One day, your future will look back at this moment, not at what you planned, not at what you intended, not at what you considered, but at what you did. Because lives change through movement, purposes unfold through movement, faith grows through movement. And sometimes the most important step of your entire journey is simply the first one. Waiting for perfect timing is already a delay. Sometimes the miracle isn't finding the perfect moment. Sometimes the miracle is finally deciding to begin.